From misty mountains to darkened swamps, Arkansas holds secrets that whisper in the night. Today, we're bringing 12 haunting legends back to life, stories that still echo through the natural state. Number 1. The Fouke Monster. Deep in the thick pine forests and murky swamps of southern Arkansas lurks a creature that has terrified locals for generations. Standing over 7 feet tall, with dark, matted hair, glowing red eyes, and a stench that burns the nostrils, the Fouke Monster has become Arkansas's most infamous legend. The first major sightings began in the 1970s, when the Ford family reported a terrifying encounter at their home near Boggy Creek. They described a massive ape-like creature that reached through their windows and prowled around their property at night. The beast left behind strange three-toed footprints, unlike anything local wildlife officials had ever seen. News of the creature spread quickly, drawing monster hunters and curiosity seekers to the small town. A low-budget documentary called The Legend of Boggy Creek turned the local mystery into a national sensation, forever cementing the monster in American folklore. Hunters who ventured into the creature's territory tell of eerie howls echoing through the trees, the snap of heavy footsteps in the underbrush, and the feeling of being watched from the shadows. Some have found deer carcasses mangled in ways no known predator could accomplish, while others have discovered hair samples that defy classification. Even today, the Fouke Monster continues to haunt the imagination of those who live near its domain. Local gas stations sell monster memorabilia, and residents still report occasional sightings, especially after heavy rains, when the creature is said to move between swampy areas. Whether it's an undiscovered primate, a misidentified bear, or something altogether different, the Fouke Monster remains a chilling reminder that in the deepest parts of Arkansas, something strange still walks the night. Number 2. The Gurdon Light. Along an abandoned stretch of railroad tracks near the small town of Gurdon, a mysterious light has puzzled visitors for over 80 years. Floating about head height above the ground, the light appears as a soft, blue-white glow that seems to move with purpose through the darkness, sometimes approaching those who dare to watch, other times dancing just beyond reach. The legend began in the 1930s after a railroad worker was murdered on the tracks. His killer used the man's own lantern to beat him to death, and since then, locals say his spirit wanders the old line, swinging his lantern as he searches for justice or perhaps his way home. Others believe the light comes from a conductor who fell from a train and was decapitated, his phantom lantern now moving endlessly along the route he can never complete. What makes the Gurdon Light so compelling is its consistency. Unlike many ghost stories, this phenomenon has been witnessed by thousands over decades, including skeptics, scientists, and film crews. The light appears regardless of weather conditions, following no pattern that would suggest headlights from nearby roads or other man-made sources. Physics professors from Henderson State University have studied the light, suggesting it might be caused by piezoelectricity, pressure on quartz crystals in the ground, creating electrical charges. But this explanation doesn't satisfy those who've seen the light change direction, split into multiple orbs, or seem to react to human voices. High school students still make late-night trips to the tracks as a rite of passage, standing in the dark with friends and waiting for the ghostly glow to appear. And it almost always does, drifting between the trees, a reminder that some mysteries refuse scientific explanation. The Gurdon Light continues to burn, drawing the curious into the Arkansas night to witness one of the state's most enduring enigmas. Number 3. The Dog Boy of Quitman. In the quiet town of Quitman, a dark legend still haunts the minds of locals. They speak in hushed tones about the Dog Boy, a twisted figure who straddled the line between human and beast. His real name was Gerald Floyd Bettis, but the monstrous nature of his actions earned him a nickname that would outlive the man himself. Standing over 6 feet tall and weighing 300 pounds by his teenage years, Bettis terrorized his elderly parents, keeping them prisoner in their Victorian home through physical and psychological abuse. But his cruelty extended beyond humans. Neighbors reported seeing him capture stray dogs and cats, taking them into his home, where terrible sounds would follow. Some claim he performed crude experiments on the animals, while others believe he tortured them simply for pleasure. After his parents' mysterious deaths, Bettis was eventually imprisoned for unrelated crimes. He died in jail in the 1980s, but many believe his spirit returned to the house where he committed his atrocities. New owners reported finding animal bones buried in the yard and hidden in the walls. Strange scratching sounds would echo through the home at night, and the haunting sound of whimpering animals would wake them from sleep. Most disturbing are the sightings of a large, shadowy figure moving through the halls on all fours, growling with a voice that seems neither fully human nor animal. Some say the dog boy transformed in death, becoming the monster he had always been inside. Others believe the tortured spirits of his animal victims follow him still, their pain keeping his memory alive. Today, the house stands quiet, but visitors still feel a heaviness in the air, as if something watches from the windows. The dog boy of Quitman remains one of Arkansas's most disturbing legends, a reminder that real monsters are born from human cruelty, and some stains never truly fade from a place. Number 4. The White River Monster. In the cool, deep waters of the White River, something massive stirs beneath the surface. Described as having gray, elephant-like skin, a spiny backbone, and a head the size of a car, the White River Monster has been a part of Arkansas folklore since the 1930s. Locals call it Whitey, and its appearances have drawn national attention for decades. The first documented sighting came from plantation owner Bramlett Bateman, who reported a huge creature surfacing near his property in 1937. Fishermen started avoiding certain deep pools, called eddy holes, where the monster was said to lurk. Bateman was so convinced of what he'd seen that he attempted to drain part of the river to capture the beast, but the water proved too powerful. As word spread, more witnesses came forward. They described a creature 15 to 30 feet long that could move with surprising speed, creating massive wakes that rocked boats. Some reported hearing strange roaring sounds from beneath the water, while others claimed to see it basking on sandbars before slipping away at the first sign of humans. The legend grew so prominent that in 1973, the Arkansas legislature created the White River Monster Refuge, making it illegal to harm the creature. To this day, it's the only law protecting an animal whose existence hasn't been scientifically confirmed. Marine biologists have suggested it might be a lost manatee, elephant seal, or even a giant alligator gar, but none of these explanations fully match the consistent descriptions from witnesses spanning generations. Unlike many cryptids, the White River Monster isn't described as malevolent, just massive and mysterious. Fishermen still eye the deeper parts of the river with caution, especially in Newport, where most sightings occur. They know that in the dark waters of Arkansas, something ancient may still be swimming, a creature that reminds us not all mysteries have been solved in our modern world. Number 5. The Legend of Petit Jean. High atop a mountain overlooking the Arkansas River stands a grave marked simply Petit Jean. Behind this modest stone lies one of Arkansas's most beloved and tragic legends, a tale of love, disguise, and heartbreak that has endured for centuries. According to the story, in the 1700s, a young French nobleman planned to explore the New World. His fiancée, Adrienne, begged to join him, but he refused, claiming the journey was too dangerous for a woman. Unwilling to be left behind, Adrienne cut her hair, disguised herself as a young man, and joined the expedition crew under the name Petit Jean, Little John. The party traveled up the Arkansas River and befriended a Native American tribe who welcomed them to their mountain. There, the Frenchmen spent months hunting and exploring, with none suspecting Petit Jean's true identity. But as they prepared to return to France, Petit Jean fell gravely ill with a fever that revealed her secret. Her heartbroken fiancé realized too late that his love had been by his side all along. As death approached, Petit Jean asked to be buried on the mountain overlooking the beautiful river valley she had come to love. After her burial, the grief-stricken nobleman returned to France, leaving his heart buried in Arkansas soil. To this day, visitors to Petit Jean State Park report seeing a young woman in outdated clothing walking near the gravesite or along the bluffs at sunset. Rangers tell of flowers mysteriously appearing on the grave, and hikers claim to hear a woman's soft voice singing French lullabies when the wind blows through the trees. Whether true history or romantic legend, the story of Petit Jean has become inseparable from the mountain that bears her name. Her spirit, they say, still watches over the breathtaking landscape she loved enough to journey across an ocean and sacrifice everything to see. Number 6. The Ghosts of the Crescent Hotel. Perched on a mountaintop in Eureka Springs stands the majestic Crescent Hotel, known throughout America as one of the most haunted buildings in the country. Built in 1886 as a luxury resort, its elegant halls have witnessed countless tragedies, and many say not all its guests have checked out, even after death. The hotel's darkest chapter began in the 1930s, when charlatan Norman Baker purchased the building and transformed it into a cancer hospital. Despite having no medical training, Baker promised miracle cures to desperate patients while secretly pocketing their money and watching them die. Hundreds perished under his care before he was finally arrested for fraud. During renovations years later, workers discovered jars of human tissue hidden in a secret room, grim souvenirs of Baker's terrible work. Today, the hotel embraces its haunted reputation, even offering nightly ghost tours. Room 218 is said to be visited by a bearded man named Michael, believed to be an Irish stonemason who fell to his death during construction. Guests report feeling invisible hands touching them or seeing tools move on their own. In the basement, once Baker's morgue, visitors feel sudden cold spots and hear the sound of rolling gurneys. A nurse pushing a wheelchair regularly appears in hallways before vanishing around corners. Most disturbing is Morris, a former patient who manifests as a hazy figure accompanied by the scent of decaying flesh. The hotel's most famous spirit is a red-haired woman in Victorian dress who appears at the foot of beds in the middle of the night, sobbing uncontrollably before fading away. Staff members have grown accustomed to guests rushing to the front desk in the early morning hours, demanding to check out after encountering her. Even skeptics admit there's something unusual about the Crescent, whether it's the accumulated energy of its tragic past or actual spirits walking its halls. The hotel stands as Arkansas's grand monument to the thin veil between this world and whatever waits beyond. Number 7. The Pope County Spook Light. On certain nights along an isolated stretch of road in Pope County, travelers report a strange, glowing orb that dances through the trees. Sometimes red, sometimes blue-white, the light hovers about 6 feet off the ground, moving with what witnesses describe as intelligence, rather than following the random patterns of natural phenomena. The Pope County Spook Light first gained attention in the early 1900s, when farmers traveling home at dusk began reporting encounters with the mysterious illumination. It would approach their wagons, following alongside for miles before suddenly vanishing. Others claimed it would split into multiple lights, surrounding their vehicles before rejoining into a single bright sphere. Local legend ties the light to a railroad worker who was decapitated in an accident near the tracks. His ghost, they say, still searches the area with a phantom lantern, looking for his missing head. Another story claims it's the spirit of a miner who was murdered for his gold, his restless soul now guarding the treasure he never got to spend. What makes the Pope County light different from similar phenomena is its behavior. Witnesses insist it reacts to sounds and movements. Honk your horn, and the light might change color or rapidly approach your car. Flash your headlights, and it may retreat into the trees, only to reappear behind you moments later. Scientists have attempted to explain it as swamp gas or reflections from distant car headlights, but neither theory explains how the light has been observed since before automobiles were common in the area. Others point to electrical fields from the nearby fault lines, yet this doesn't account for the light's seemingly responsive nature. Locals know better than to chase the light. Those who have tried find that it always stays just ahead, leading them deeper into the woods before disappearing entirely, leaving pursuers disoriented and lost. The Pope County Spook light reminds us that in the dark corners of Arkansas, some mysteries prefer to remain just beyond our grasp. Number 8, the Ozark Howler. Deep in the ancient hills and hollows of the Ozark Mountains, hunters and hikers tell of encountering a creature unlike any known animal. The Ozark Howler, described as being the size of a bear with shaggy black fur, glowing red eyes, and twisted horns protruding from its head, has been a part of mountain folklore for over 2 centuries. What truly distinguishes the howler is the sound it makes, a bone-chilling cry that echoes through the hills, starting as a low moan before rising to a piercing shriek that freezes the blood of those who hear it. Old-timers say the wail carries for miles, and even the most hardened hunters turn back when they hear the howler's call after sunset. The earliest accounts come from French explorers in the late 1700s, who described a devil beast stalking the mountains. Native American tribes in the region had their own stories of a powerful spirit creature that protected sacred lands from trespassers. Both traditions warned of a territorial beast that guarded its domain with fierce determination. Modern sightings continue, with witnesses describing an animal that moves with unnatural speed, sometimes on 4 legs, sometimes rearing up to walk on 2. Game cameras have captured blurry images of a large, dark shape moving between trees, and rangers occasionally find strange tracks that don't match known wildlife, too large for a wolf, with claw marks unlike a bear's. Some cryptozoologists theorize the howler could be a surviving dire wolf, a prehistoric predator thought extinct for thousands of years. Others suggest it might be a previously undiscovered big cat species unique to the isolated mountain region. But those who've encountered it believe the howler is something else entirely. Not quite animal, not quite spirit, but something in between. As development pushes deeper into the Ozarks, sightings have become less frequent. Yet on cold autumn nights, when mist hangs heavy in the valleys, locals still report hearing that distinctive howl rolling across the mountains, a reminder that some corners of Arkansas remain wild and untamed. Number 9, the ghost of Pea Ridge, on the rolling fields where one of the Civil War's bloodiest battles in the West was fought. The past refuses to stay buried. The Battle of Pea Ridge claimed over 3,000 lives in March 1862, and today, park rangers, visitors, and locals all report encounters with soldiers who seem unaware that their war ended more than 150 years ago. The most frequently seen apparition is a young Confederate soldier who appears near Elkhorn Tavern, the site of fierce fighting during the battle. He's described as having a gaunt face and tattered uniform, often seen searching the ground as if looking for something lost. When approached, he simply fades away, his desperate expression the last thing to disappear. Park employees have reported hearing the sounds of battle in the early morning hours. Distant cannon fire, horses' hooves, and men shouting commands that echo across empty fields. Overnight security guards tell of lantern lights moving across the battlefield where no person walks, and the unmistakable smell of gunpowder hanging in the air on windless nights. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a Civil War reenactor who was camping on the grounds before an event. He awoke to find a soldier in period-accurate uniform sitting by his tent. Thinking it was a fellow reenactor, he spoke to the man, who turned to reveal a face partly missing from a cannon blast. The apparition spoke clearly, asking, "Have we won the day, sir?" before dissolving into the darkness. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained voices on audio equipment, often capturing phrases in period dialect, discussing battle plans, or calling for medics. Photographs taken at sunset sometimes reveal shadowy figures standing in formation, where none were visible to the photographer. The ghosts of Pea Ridge don't seem hostile, merely lost, confused, or bound to relive their final moments in an endless loop. For those who walk these hallowed grounds, the thin veil between past and present occasionally parts, offering a glimpse into one of Arkansas's most pivotal and tragic moments. Number 10. The Singing Springs of Eureka. The town of Eureka Springs was built around natural springs, said to have healing properties. But locals know some of these waters hold deeper mysteries. Among the 63 documented springs, a select few are known as the Singing Springs, where visitors report hearing ethereal voices rising from the bubbling waters, especially during the quiet hours between midnight and dawn. Native American tribes considered these particular springs sacred long before European settlement, believing they were doorways to the spirit world. Medicine men would sit beside them for days, listening to what they described as the voices of ancestors, offering guidance and healing knowledge. When white settlers arrived in the 1800s, seeking cures for various ailments, many reported hearing strange melodies emanating from the waters, beautiful harmonies with no visible source. The most famous of these is Grotto Spring, enclosed in a stone chamber built in 1885. Visitors sitting alone in the grotto often describe hearing a woman's voice singing in a language they don't understand, the notes seeming to come from the water itself. Some claim the singing changes based on the listener's needs, soothing lullabies for the troubled, energetic melodies for the weary. What makes the phenomenon more compelling is its consistency over centuries and across cultures. Written accounts from the 1880s describe the same singing that visitors report today. Scientists have suggested the unique mineral composition of the springs creates unusual acoustics when water flows through underground limestone caverns. But this doesn't explain why the sounds resemble human voices or why they seem to respond to visitors' emotions. Those who've heard the singing springs often report feelings of peace or unexpected emotional healing. Some even claim physical ailments improved after spending time near the waters, giving credence to the spring's reputation for healing. Whether natural phenomenon, psychological suggestion, or something truly supernatural, the singing springs continue to draw those seeking healing to this corner of Arkansas. Number 11. The Arkansas Traveler. Not all of Arkansas's legends are frightening. Some, like the tale of the Arkansas Traveler, reveal deeper truths about the state's character. This famous story, dating back to the 1840s, has become more than just a folktale. It's a cultural touchstone that spawned artwork, music, and even the state's nickname, the land of opportunity. The legend tells of a lost traveler who approaches a squatter's cabin in the Ozark Mountains during a rainstorm. He finds a settler sitting outside, playing the same half of a fiddle tune over and over. When the traveler asks for directions, the settler responds with clever wordplay and evasive answers, appearing simple and unhelpful. But when the sophisticated traveler recognizes the tune and plays the second half, the settler's demeanor changes completely. Suddenly welcoming, he offers food, shelter, and genuine friendship. More than just an amusing tale, the Arkansas traveler reveals something essential about the state's spirit: a wariness of outsiders, coupled with warm hospitality once trust is established. The story spread through national publications in the mid-1800s, and soon a famous lithograph by Edward Washburn, depicting the scene, hung in homes across America. The fiddle tune mentioned in the story became known as the Arkansas Traveler and is still played by folk musicians today. Its jaunty melody seems to capture both the mischief and hospitality of the original tale. The state adopted the nickname the Arkansas Traveler for decades, using it in everything from baseball team names to official tourism campaigns. What makes this legend uniquely powerful is how it continues to shape Arkansas's identity. The story has been retold, reinterpreted, and referenced for nearly 2 centuries, evolving with each generation while maintaining its core truth about Arkansas character. Unlike ghostly apparitions or mysterious creatures, the Arkansas Traveler haunts the state's culture itself, embedding in its people a simultaneous pride in both their cleverness and their hospitality. Number 12. The Gurdon Ghost Train. Along the same abandoned railroad tracks where the Gurdon Light appears, another spectral phenomenon chills the blood of those brave enough to visit after dark. The Gurdon Ghost Train manifests not as a light, but as a full sensory experience. The distant whistle of a locomotive, the rhythmic click of wheels on tracks, the vibration of an approaching train, and even the blast of wind as a phantom engine roars past, all occurring on tracks that haven't seen a real train in decades. The legend began after a particularly gruesome accident in the early 1900s, when a conductor was caught between cars and dragged for miles before his body was discovered. Shortly afterward, locals reported hearing a train whistle at the exact time of night when the accident occurred, even though no trains were scheduled. As years passed, the phantom train gained a reputation for appearing to those with tragedy in their future, a final warning, or perhaps an invitation to join the ghostly passengers. What distinguishes the Gurdon Ghost Train from similar legends is the physical impact witnesses describe. Unlike typical ghost stories, where apparitions pass through the living, those who've encountered the phantom train report being knocked to the ground by the rush of air as it passes. Some claim to have felt invisible hands pulling them away from the tracks moments before feeling the rush of the spirit engine. Most eerily, numerous witnesses have described seeing shadowy figures aboard the train, their faces pressed against windows, expressions frozen in terror as if reliving their final moments. Others report seeing a single figure standing at the back of the last car, the conductor, some believe, still making his rounds on the eternal journey. Railroad workers who once maintained the now abandoned line admitted to avoiding certain sections after sunset, claiming their tools would vibrate on their own, and the unmistakable smell of coal smoke would fill the air even when no fire burned for miles. Today, thrill seekers still venture onto the old tracks, hoping to witness the Gurdon Ghost Train, though locals warn that those who mock the legend often have the most terrifying encounters. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.